Good morning, and hope you all had your coffee and stuff. My name is Audun Ytterdal. I'm the head of operations at VG, co-author of Munin, master in computer forensics. I'm a dyslexic, and I'm AY at Slack and Audun at GitHub. I was called during Christmas and asked if I can do an entertaining security presentation. So I'm giving it my best shot. So I'm going to talk about war stories. War stories from the ops trenches in VG. VG under attack. VG has been online since 1995, so we kind of had our fair share of attacks. It's the most popular and most visited site in Norway. So we had a lot of attacks. So I'm going to talk about FBI. I'm going to talk about Google Street View, .NET fuckers, Ugnazi, some fashion blogs, Mayhem, the black metal band, and some other stuff. So hopefully it'll be a bit interesting. Attacks towards the VG. VG is attacked every single day. Throughout the day, every hour, every minute. Mostly, like 99.9% of those are automatic. But they're pretty, like every time there's a new exploit somewhere, it will be tried against VG. And also, since it's like the most visited site, all the 14-year-old kids will always try us first. We get low-level UDP and TCP, which is usually handled by our ISP or F5 load balancers. We can handle about 30 gigabits of HTTP traffic, so we could try to handle traffic just by taking the traffic. HTTP attacks is usually handled by Varnish. We do a lot of we get a lot of blackmail attacks, meaning that people try to DDoS us and then try to blackmail us afterwards. Usually doesn't work because we just handle the DDoS. We also see a lot of trouble running like commercial stuff like WordPress. WordPress is probably much more secure than anything we've written ourselves. But the problem is that whenever they find an exploit in WordPress, it's about minutes before the first attack hits VG. So we don't have really time to patch anything. While our custom code, which is probably full of holes, needs like a dedicated person to actually hack it. And the last thing we usually do is DDoSing ourselves. The last graphs here are from the last DDoS attacks that tried to hit most of the Schibsted sites last year. We usually have around 2 gigabits of traffic is like the usual norm, while this attack is from one side of one of our sites is handling around 10 gigabit. So, and it lasts for a period. And usually around 10,000 hits per second, and under attack it's usually like around 100,000 hits per second. Well, I'll just start with one of the more fancy stories. A competitor of us, Allermedia, is one. Norway has 3 large media houses. It's Schibsted, and it's Allermedia, and the last one, I forgot the name, whatever. They run, among other things, our competitor Dagbladet and blog.no, which is like a large fashion site, fashion blogs, and what we call pink blogs in Norwegian. It's the largest blogging platform in the Nordics. They had been down for at least an hour every day for several consecutive weeks. And so they called us and asked us, do you have problems as well? And then we looked into our systems and said, yeah, we see that they're trying to DDoS us as well. But they didn't really have a large impact. So we agreed to reroute all the traffic for our competitors through our systems, and kept them up and running while we're helping out them figure out what was the root cause of this. So we started, they already investigated a bit. There was someone called the .NET fuckers, which were like a part of a kind of recruitment area to like a larger site, a larger hacker organization called Ugnazi. And they took down Norwegian sites and also bragged about it on Twitter. So we started trying to get in contact with them because they like attention. And we contacted them one by one, and it actually answered with different types of channels, IRC and Skype and Hangouts and whatever. And one of them told us that they were using a tool called Nightlight. And the other one told us that he was the one that made the tool that they used. So now we know that this guy made Nightlight. And then we found another, like when we found that tool on SourceForge, this was before GitHub, we found another username, and we searched around that, and we found a live drive, or OneDrive, the Microsoft Drive, where we found a lot of pictures. And we found one photo taken by a mobile camera of a high-scored board with the nick he was using on Twitter. And it was so the scoreboard of a World of Warcraft thingy. And then, but of course, he forgot to remove the geolocation of the photo. So now he knows where he lived, one of them. The other one had like an image of a town. It looked like a Norwegian town. So my wife, which is also a master in computer forensics, started using Google Street View, because he knew it was first she looked into the image because it was a high-res image, so you can zoom into it. And she found a reflection of a logo on a plumber van in a shop window. Meaning that she found the name of the plumber. And then she looked at it and figured out which area does this plumber operate. And then we know which city it was. And then we used Google Street View to figure out from which angle was this image taken. And then we found the address of where the image was taken, because it was taken on the porch of the house he was living. So then we have two addresses. And together with a lot of information from scattered from Facebook and all the other stuff, we were able to give all this information to Kripos, which is like the Norwegian FBI. We did this together with the people from blog.no, and here's the reference to Mayhem, because the CEO of the pink fashion blogs is the former drummer of Mayhem, which is a pretty known black metal band. And on the same channel, there was also, and then we gave all the information. These people are now jailed, and they actually were. They called me when I was on a summer party in VG, the police, and they asked him, okay, can you check if these people are online, because we're outside their doors? And then we just checked IRCs, checked if they were online, and then they got into the houses and picked them up and asked, was it silent now? Yes, it was silent now. And they admitted everything, and then they've now been jailed for a few years. Oh, not a few years, it's in Norway, so it's a few months. The Norwegian court, as I said, and at least we like to think that this information was given to the FBI, and Ugnasi was taken down, I think, a year or two later. So that was a fun story. Another story we had was we were attacked by Anonymous, which is not that fun. Because in Norway we have something called the DLD, the Datalagringsdirektivet, which is sort of the data retention law, I think, in the EU, which means that like suddenly for surveillance cases, police wants you to log all traffic data and all ISPs. And one of the commentaries on VG wrote like a positive comment on why Norway should implement the DLD. By the way, by one of the lead singer of Lucifer, which is also a rock band in Norway. But anyway, which is most IT people I know is like violently against it. So Anonymous started to attack us pretty badly. We were like, there was no way of us keeping us down, because every single school in Norway, every single home, we were just attacking us. It was within Norway, so we couldn't really do anything about it. So they used a low orbital ion cannon and all kinds of things at the same time. So the only way we did that was just by joining them. So we joined IRC, talked to them, and said that, well, we really hate DLD. So we kind of trying to do our job here, but it's just convincing them and being interested in them and how they do stuff, and how do you manage to take us down, and just being genuinely interested. So we got on our good side, so after a while they said, okay, well, we'll let you go. But that's fine. Even though it's hard with Anonymous because we kind of convinced the technical good guys, but Anonymous is like a 1,000-headed troll of people from all ages that just do things. So even though we managed to convince the good guys there, there's millions of attacks anyway. But it was kind of calming down until one of our journalists. No, that was just an image. One of our journalists posted this on Twitter. Which made the operations guy pretty mad. So then we were down for a bit more. Next little story I can tell about is another story where we actually were hacked. This as an image from E24, like one of the sister sites of VG, from 2011. We used something called Dr. Front, which is like a front editing tool. And it was an issue with this, because the developers didn't really understand how LDAP works. And LDAP is it's an authentication thingy, which means that you can authenticate with a username and a password. But there's also an alternative way of authentication against LDAP, and that's an anonymous bind, just like trying to search it read-only. So they implemented something that if you didn't give him a username or a password, they just checked, and then LDAP did an anonymous bind, which was successful. So they just checked for, is this a successful connect? So you didn't. So if you actually went into our system and just wrote this empty password username, you got in. So this guy got in, posted an image with himself with a balaclava in his mother's bathroom, because the image was taken on a mobile phone with geolocation. So we called his mom. And he promised us that he shouldn't do that again. Next story. We have a traveling blog, used our traveling blog. It's Asian code from PHP 4 something. Again, since we've been online since 1995. It had a cross-site script exploit, which meant that it wasn't really nothing on our site, and nothing was stored. But if you had a specially crafted URL and posted that on some random forums, if someone clicked on those links, they got into our site and then sent out to another site. These forums was nothing someone at VG would actually visit. But the problem is that Google is going through the internet and found these links and saw that it was rerouted into some Trojan sites. And then they blacklisted us, which is bad. Because then, even though there's nothing wrong with VG, every time that you surf VG, you'll just get a pop-up box saying that, oh, this is a suspicious site, there's malware here and everything. So the whole Norwegian population got this. And also a security firm kind of figured this out and then had their 50 minutes of limelight. Also because we had a crash in one of the servers and we were down for other reasons, everybody thinks now this is the large hacker attack. So NRK, which is the Norwegian national broadcaster, they called us and asked if they can come film an attack going on live. And they also called me while I was debugging not the security stuff, but the more system, the storage problems. And then I got a phone call and was pretty stressed debugging stuff. And then they said, "You're now live on radio." So trying to debug stuff while answering questions on live radio was also interesting. To get this back, we cashed in a favor with Google, because we were the first non-technical site on planet Earth to do IPv6. So they used us as an example all over the world for implementing IPv6. So we just contacted them and got the favor and fixed them within minutes instead of days, which is usually the case if you contact Google for anything. But the problem is that we usually DDoS ourselves. Or just make trouble ourselves. This is a bandwidth graph from yesterday. It's usually 2 gigabits here. And then this happens. Any suggestions what that might be? People from VG? It happens every day. And it's the release of VG+. Like some developers, and it's actually been trimmed down now because some developers figure out that, oh, it's a nice idea to because it's a VG+ is like a sort of subscription where you get one magazine every day. But people just, and it's a 50 megabytes large file where they deliver it to your iPad. But if you give that file to everybody at the same time, that kind of breaks things. So this is actually being tuned down because now they deliver it within a period of a few minutes at least. Because the first time they did that, it was about like 150 gigabits per second, which is kind of hard to deliver. 9 is back. I keep talking about the thundering herd. Raise your hands, whatever who knows what thundering herd is. Oh, come on. Yeah, some people in the corner over there. Thundering herd is the problem with IT that there's latency everywhere. So if you're doing, which probably a lot of you will be doing, is doing Ajax interval stuff that people, like some site can refresh something every X seconds. So let's say that you have a lot of users. You only have 5 users on your site. VG has a few million, but say that you have 5. And every 5 seconds, you have 5 users that refresh every 5 seconds, right? Oh, that's not the right numbers, but every 5 seconds they refresh, which looks good because it's evenly distributed. But because of things, the real world, things kind of stop and hang a bit and then suddenly loosens up again. So what you end up is that everything is pushed into one end of the spectrum, meaning that everything ends up here. So instead of having, so you have 0 requests per second, 0 requests per second, 0 requests per second, and then suddenly a lot every second. And error handling is even worse. We have like examples of, oh, I can't reach this because of some 503 error. Then I just retry as fast as I can, which also is impossible to get up from if you have trouble. So you have to inject randomization whenever you do anything in a certain interval. Randomize all the things. What we learned, well, for the last 10 years, don't go down. That's the easiest way. If you're contacted by professionals, don't contact them back. At least if they try to contact you and you are managing to handle it. If they are non-professional, it might actually be a good idea to contact them and be genuinely interested in what they're doing and why they're doing it and what they're going to do without threatening them. Be open about attacks and open about problems in general. And widely used software, even if supposedly secure, is far more, is for most practical purposes, less secure than their own miserable mistakes. And you will be hacked. You will go down. Data will be leaked. So you have to categorize and plan for it. Plan to handle the media for once, and information is king. Einar Otto Stangvik, which is going to talk here with the interview later, was asked to just try to get into VG as like a recruitment for VG, sort of. And he spent, without any prior knowledge, he had spent 20 minutes and then he had shell on everything. So because it's really hard. VG exists of about 170 different sites. So it's hard to keep everything under control unless we automate everything like Albert said. And also then, help your competitors. It's much more fun to help them. Another thing is like when we go down, we present fun pages. This is a page when our storage system went down. It's like a fake VG front page. It says, sorry, technical error. We have kittens on our server rooms. And the news are actually the lyrics from Rick Astley's Never Gonna Let You Down. And then we have like a sort of updated blog in the middle explaining what's the problem. And last time we used this, we got more cred than we ever had before. Like people tweeting that we'd rather see the error page of VG than any other news site. Well, there's work to do. I got this mail a few days back. got.no, remote cross-site script, which you need to fix. So if you had any time after coffee afterwards, please fix. So that's about what I've been talking about.
Thank you very much, Audun. Huge applause, please.